Alrighty folks, I want to welcome you back to another video from Yates Computers Tips and Reviews. Well, this is something that's been in the news, that's been out, just came out kind of this week. As of March, I believe it was 24th, a certain big YouTuber says his YouTube channel went down. It did technically go down, but it's actually worse than it just going down. I will post a link to that video and to the original person who had reported this, Theo Joe. Another YouTuber has a video explaining a lot of this. And you can watch his video, see what actually happened, see what is there from his point of view. Reason why I'm doing this video, for most home users, this still applies. A lot of these things are not new. This variable of an attack or what took place is not a new attack. There are rules and certain guidelines and best practices that were in place before 2000 in the 90s and 80s about certain things to prevent a lot of this. I'm not going to point fingers, and I don't want to say, well, it's because of this or it's because of that. And basically, I have some stuff written down that I want to go through. So I'm going to look through it so I stay on point, so I don't jump around and make it too confusing. So like I said, a lot of these rules are old rules. They've been around for a long, long time. It's just today's age, since it's now 2023, people decided we don't need to do this anymore, and we're going to do this over here, and we're going to do what we want. We're going to have what we want, and we don't have time to wait. We don't have time to do certain things. So that's what kind of led up to this big event and what took place. Now, is it right? Is it wrong? Who's in the right? Who's in the wrong? So basically, to sum it all up, as in who's at fault, I basically say everybody's at fault. Everything's at fault. There is not one factor in this situation. So I have videos out there about making sure you have your firewalls, making sure your network security, making sure you know what URL you're going to, making sure you don't open bad emails, about videos about how email is such a horrible thing, all the mischief and bad things that come through email, and knowing that it's not safe. The internet is not safe. What's out there on the internet is not safe. Your data is not safe. You, as an individual or a business, need to make sure your data is safe. You can't hope you post it on a server and you hope it's going to be fine, that it's going to be safe. You're not going to rely on some other factors out there. I've mentioned in backups, making sure you have redundant backups, making sure you have independent backups that aren't plugged into your network and other things. These are all reasons that to make sure a scenario like this or a scenario with anything else, it does not necessarily have to be that provider. It can be a lot of different providers. It could be a simple web hosting. It could be anything. Anybody that makes media creating, YouTubers, anybody that puts media out there, anybody that edits media, how you interface and how you have your VPNs and have your connections between individual users. Best practices on who handles that data when it comes in. So I wanted to go through that, knowing those securities. The number one thing that I've mentioned that is so dangerous nowadays is everybody wants it now. Now. I have to have it now. I have to have the speed now. This is what kind of led up to this issue. And the second issue that I had a problem with, that I made a video of, but it was not very nice, so I did not post it. I've deleted it. Is customer service wise, and how do you give someone a good quality product? These are the two factors that really led into all of this. And it's not a single individual thing. It's really hard to narrow it down to one specific thing. Across the industry, there's a lot of things that this problem can cause. So, again, knowing your network, knowing your architecture, knowing your security, knowing all of those things, that is part of what I have for this year's quiz. So, I wasn't going to do a video on this at all because I don't like jumping on the bandwagon and pushing news and pushing a lot of things. Until this is the year of the rabbit hole for me. This is the big subjects, the deep subjects that you get into. And this is the cause and effect of these subjects. So I kind of felt forced to make this video. I'm not here to call out anybody. I'm not here to do anything. I am kind of here to call out people. I'm here to call out the people who are designing these products and designing these services to make them better. I'm not calling them out for their flaws, because there's going to be flaws in everything. If you can design it, someone's going to be able to break it. It's just that simple. Coding is coding. Once you code it, someone sees your coding, they're going to find a way around it. It's just the way it is. The way tech has moved so fast with cloud-based and all of these things, these vulnerabilities have always been there. When the cloud-based stuff came out, there has been these vulnerabilities. I've mentioned it in my videos that I did not possibly think the cloud-based stuff was going to take off as big as it has. And now you have something that came to light that with the vulnerabilities. I keep saying vulnerabilities. It's not really a vulnerability. It is a known issue. It is a best practice issue. So there's a lot of things that can resolve a lot of this. Number one, a user or whoever, somebody got an email with some malicious software in it, opened it up, that malicious software stole your cookies, your sessions, all your information out of your browser, to this person. This person knows how to use those sessions and cookies and everything else to access that website. This is, again, the difference between on-site and off-site hosting. If you're on-site and you know something horrible is going on, you can run over there and boom, kill the power. It's down. Off-site hosting, you have no control. You don't know where that server is, how many servers it's in, how many clone servers, any of that. Worst thing with this is once they have that access, it's not only did they take down your content, my content, whoever's content out there, is they literally take control of that channel, that page, whatever. And what they've done is they rename it. They run this video on there about Bitcoin. Send me a Bitcoin, I send you two. And it's just a scam. It's a fraud. But the thing is all your followers and all your people that followed your channel are now seeing this. Your website, whatever you're hosting, whatever, there's variables out there that are other than just streaming media. I'm sure TikTok and all these other things have these problems. It's the same vulnerability with your browser and cookies and caching. When you log in, how you log out. If you successfully sign out, and every time you log into that site, you have to put in your username and password, it's not 100% secure, because sometimes your session could still be open even though you fully logged out. So that's why in the old days, they used to have in businesses people that had internet access, people that had email, and you had the other people that didn't. If you get into big corporate security, a lot of that is broken down and separated. You have certain kind of, like government, certain kind of research and other things, they have no email. Why? Because they can't send out classified documents. They can't send out anything out. It's secure. Well, there's a catch-22 that they can't get any of that garbage coming in to steal the data. So there has been there for a long time. It's just nowadays they wanted more speed. They want access to everything. Instead of writing a memo, printing it out, taking it in, doing something of that sort, no, we'll send an email out to the 10 people and we're done. You just set yourself up for risk. Because now what if that person in accounting or research or whatever department opens up a bad email or dirty email? So then you go through and you buy certain software to protect yourself. I've mentioned that in security videos. Mentioned that in my VM software about an independent system that scans your network. Scans your email. Cloud-based. There's cloud-based systems out there that will monitor your email. Tell you, hey, this possibly is infected. Do you want to let this through? This is spam. This is phishing. This is that. This is that. These things are important to have out there. These are part of your security, part of your network. And again, this falls into my 2023 quiz. Kind of giving a lot of it out now because of the situation. But it's also good because now it will get you that information to understand what that quiz is actually about. When I say go check your network to make sure you have these things. If you're a bigger business, make sure you have those policies and procedures. A lot of businesses I've talked about have rights. What you can do on the internet, how you can use your business phone, what you can have on your business phone. You've heard a lot of stuff nowadays about TikTok on government phones, city phones, all these things that they're banning this. You hear, to me, is craziness of an excuse. TikTok China will find out what you're doing on TikTok. Like, they want to see me shaking my butt? That's what most people are doing on TikTok. There must be other stuff on there, but that's what a lot of people are watching. I kind of thought that was funny, and I can kind of see why you don't want that in a government situation. You really don't want people sitting there watching people shaking their butt at work. You want to talk about rules and violations, policy, that's inappropriate in a lot of different ways. Not suitable for work. So, you have that side of it. But this also falls into that. And this is not something a lot of people are talking about. This is something, like I said, I stated in my little thing that I'm going to post from before 2000, these rules were there. I'm not too sure when these rules really were implemented. They've been there since I know of in the 80s and 90s. But the world's changed, and people have decided we don't want to follow that. We want to push that off, and we want to do this because it's quicker and it's easier for us to do this. Well, there was a reason why they set that rule. There was a reason why they had that as a best practice. And bang, now it's bang, bang. It's coming up everywhere. Everybody's going to freak out. But you didn't follow the best practice. You didn't follow the security procedures. Here are a lot of people saying, well, I had the rights and I had permissions and I had certain things locked down. True. There's a problem on their side. There's a problem everywhere. So for me to kind of keep this short enough, let me go through and make sure I got all of my subjects that I wrote down. Because you got to understand that now you're talking about a workstation. And I'm sure most people at home are doing this on a daily basis. I talked about this computer here. Have an unboxing on this computer. Like a $200 computer. Why did I buy a $200 computer? Why do I have my own computers over there? It is to follow some of these best practices. So that anything I'm streaming and capturing and doing anything I want in here, it's not affecting anything else over there. Nobody can get in and hack all my stuff. Nobody can steal my data, delete data from here. Because if I open a bad email, it's over there in that system. I can wipe it, reload it, do whatever I need to do. They've talked about, in the old days, they mentioned about online banking. They never recommended online banking on a system you use for general use. All that stuff has kind of gone away. Now they're doing it on cell phones. That's new age horrible technology that I've mentioned in other videos. Because it does not show you all the information as you would see on a computer. Not to mention, a lot of them don't have virus scans, security software, and all that other stuff in that phone. Because it's not a Windows OS that you put everything else in, but then you have this other thing that has very little. Again, that goes back to a lot of things I've mentioned. I've done a video on what the worst device you have that can affect a lot of things is that cell phone. I have that video. There's a lot of videos out there. At the end of this, I will post video links of all kinds of subjects, of all kinds of things, not only mine, but other YouTubers and other things of information that's due to this. Because it's, again, not necessarily due to that one subject. This is something a lot of people don't talk about. Again, this is why I did my channel, was to go over all these little things a lot of people aren't talking about no more. All they're talking about is gaming, CPUs, DDR5, DDR6, what RAM speeds, NVMe drives, all this gaming stuff. When your everyday things you are doing were not really best practice. And now you got bit. Someone got bit. A lot of people have gotten bit by these type of things. I know it's not practical, a lot of these best practices, But again, if you're a business, this is the way you usually set up your business to be structured. If you're an architect and you draw buildings, you wouldn't have your accountant draw buildings so you can do the accounting. So I wanted to express that out because I hear a lot of finger pointing, and actually there is a lot of finger pointing that can be pointed. Number one, to resolve it all, is everybody really needs to just slow down. Slow things down. Because everything has to be done right away. Everybody wants everything done right away. As a designer of software and a service, you really need to think about what can be done right away. What can't be done right away? What should you actually put a hold on? Let's say somebody wants to delete their account. Someone wants to change a password. Well, you might want to say, are you sure about that? I know a lot of things have two-factor authorization, but that can be breached with this issue that's going on and other things that are going on, and some two-factor authorization really isn't worth a whole lot. You can watch videos, do your homework. There's ways around a lot of two-factor authorization. But the slowing things down to prompt you, hey, can you please reinsert your two-factor authorization and your password? Let me text you a certain code. Let me email you a certain code. Okay, you confirm you want to delete your account. You have up to 7 days to reactivate your account. That would make a lot of things a lot simpler in life, because if someone gets in there, deletes something, the biggest boom that I heard from this is they get in there and they rename the account. Why would you want to rename your account? I can understand some businesses change names, some businesses do this. Okay, but if you know you're going to change your business name, and you know you got to go through your internet provider and say, hey, I'm changing my name from Yates Computers Tips and Reviews to Yates Gaming Portal or whatever else I have open, and it should prompt you. Password, credential. Why does it not say, hey, I understand you want to do this, there's a 7-day hold? If you're a business and you know that, you would plan for that 7-day hold. If you're a hacker and a schemer and a scammer and all of this stuff, that 7-day hold ain't going to be very good for you. It would stop a lot of this. There's a lot of little simple things that can be done. And then, like I said, I mentioned in these videos, I'm doing these videos because any one of these videos can be a spark for anybody to create the newest product. I've talked about how I got into computers and what I was doing. And, you know, it's kind of a funny thing now that this is what I'm doing for a living. And I'm doing YouTube channels. This was not really my starting goal point. This was not where I planned to end up. This was something I thought about doing, and then I see a lot of people aren't talking about certain subjects, so I got into it. So that's where things are. Now again, I've talked about phishing and malicious emails and all of these other things. Depending on who your internet provider are and who your emails through, this could all be eliminated by every email company providing that kind of malicious scan stopping. don't let those garbage emails through. If you want to prevent all this crime and all this stuff, you can. My Yahoo Mail has a junk mail folder. A lot of stuff goes into the junk mail. Oh, this is junk mail. In the junk mail, it doesn't show you photos, it doesn't show you the attachments, and it hides a lot of that stuff to make it more secure for you, to better service for you. Well, it can go as far as knowing if somebody's sending you a super malicious virus, like the I Love You that's been out for 20 years. Why is that not quarantined, boxed off, and even you can have it notify the officials that this is coming from this person over here, and go stop that. But this is some of those points that, as a business, as an individual, you pay for these services to have this done, when really it could just be mandatory for all email and this stuff would stop. Again, and following best practice. If this workstation gets emails with contracts, with people reaching out, trying to send me information, trying to send me website designs, trying to send me other type of things, and I'm doing website editing on this location, and I'm logging into other portals and other things like that, that is not a wise idea. You want to separate those two, because you don't know what kind of malicious email come in. And if you get it in a computer where you are using that as a portal, VPN, anything out to someone else, you run that chance of the same thing of someone stealing your cookies and your sessions and your passwords. And again, this is a phishing attack. And then what's even worse is they know basically what time you are online and you're doing stuff. They don't usually attack your computer at 8 o'clock when they know you're going to be working at your workstation. They'll wait till midnight when they know nobody's in the building, get into that computer, that screen will show everything they're doing, but there's nobody there to see it. So this is some of those factors I wanted to come up and tell people about. And again, I'll have a lot of links to other things that will go through and break down a lot of these. But I wanted to go through this and do a video and try to express some of this stuff. And to explain, internet is not safe. Email is not safe. Your data is your data, and it is always kind of up to you to make sure it's safe and secure. All my content is backed up in a USB drive, sitting there in a box, independent. I have it. Of course, it's a nightmare if someone would take over your site, delete it all, and you have to re-upload and redo all. It's a nightmare just for me to do the weekly videos. I can't imagine trying to recover it all and redoing it all. So this is some of the subjects I wanted to cover. And I don't want to point fingers, and I don't want to blame anybody. Again, this is best practice. This is stuff that I have out there. I have videos, so you would learn it, and you can teach it, and you can relay it to others. Because if you're in a business environment and you watch this video and you see, oh yeah, I can go in and learn about, be careful of phishing, careful of ransomware, be careful of this, be careful of that. Because ultimately, with all this ransomware stuff, I hate to even bring this up in a video because someone will probably see it and start doing it, is other than taking over and changing the videos to some scam, is they ransomware your site, ransom your name. They hold that name, they lock it down, they change your passwords and all of that where you can't get into it. They used to do that with email. Get into your email, say, oh, you want your email back? Send me $100. You know, something stupid in those days. You know what I mean? But it was something that was out there. Most people just thought, yeah, I'll just change email. You know, no big deal. But you have these things that have been going on for a long time. And I don't want to throw like a scare factor out there, but maybe I need to, because to let people aware of what truly is going on and the consequences of not following the best practices and following these type of things. And again, I'm not trying to target anybody. I'm not trying to blame anybody. What I'm trying to say is beware, know what your best practices are, know what situations you have. Because I can guarantee best practices, I know I'm not following some of them. And I know it's going to bite me one of these days. Trying to keep the best you can, trying to do the best you can with it, trying to make sure you have these things separated. You know, VMs. Maybe you need to do a VM to do certain jobs or tasks that your main operating system is not doing. I have videos on the VM. Pretty simple to do. Computers nowadays are fast enough they can do it. Now also, one thing I did not mention with the VMs that might be important, you don't have to leave the VM running. Let's say you have 6 VMs in there and you're doing computer programming and you're doing website design and you're doing, you know, some kind of coding, and you have something just for like an email type of thing. You can turn it off, turn it on. Oh, I need to go in there and do this website design. Turn that VM on, let it run. When you're done, shut it down. You don't have to leave it running. I did not really go into that in the VM videos, but there's so much detail in a lot of this, and this subject kind of fell into my end of year, into the wormhole, into the quiz, into all the networking, all the training videos that I put out last year. All of that stuff really fell into this. And I went, I didn't want to do a video on this, but I don't want to capitalize on someone else's misfortune. But then I thought about, you know what? What if you're not a big YouTuber, you don't have the support, you don't have all the people that can come out help you, you don't have other big YouTubers that can come out help you. Maybe you have a simple cooking YouTube channel, maybe you have a makeup, clothing. You have no clue about tech. You have someone that maybe posts it for you, or you can barely even post it because that's your tech level. What would you do? That's when I started going, man, you know, I really need to do this, because it's for everybody else out there that might get stuck, that might get into that situation. And I know I've struggled to get my channel to grow, and I thought, you know, that would really kind of suck if I lost my channel and, you know, I have to start all over. I've been doing this for almost 3 years. You know, I got hardly no followers. I got nothing. I'd have to start all over. And I thought about everybody else that would be doing streaming, doing media, doing TikToks, doing, you know, Twitter, doing all these other things. That, like, wow, like, I really need to do this to protect all the other people out there, to tell them, hey, please pay attention, because you don't want to lose that. And figured media creators themselves would understand what I'm talking about, because you spend a lot of time on the back end stuff. This video's gone on for like 40 minutes. Yeah, that's no big deal, 40 minutes. But it's going to take me 3, 4, or 5 times that time to get in there, post it, maybe edit it, do the little thumbnail, do all these things, where I want to post it. I already wrote up a thing today that I'm kind of going to post along with this. I didn't follow it exactly. That was maybe an hour of my time, when the thoughts came up and how I wanted to word them. All of this stuff that came in to doing this is really the kicker. Yeah, it's a 30, 40-minute video, but it cost me 6 hours to do it. Times, I have 180 plus videos, I think, on here as of today when I film this. That math gets pretty big. Been doing it for almost 3 years. Have a lot of content, a lot of information out there to try to educate and train and to let people aware of this. And now this subject has come up where it's kind of linked it all, dumped it all together. And again, like I said, I didn't want to do this video, but I kind of felt forced to do it because everything I've said, all the videos I've done, where I'm doing it, how I'm doing it, everything went bloop on top. And I went, you know what? I got to do this because got to let people know, because if you're a small channel, even if you're a big channel, you can watch the videos of the big channel, what happened. And of course, if you're not into tech and you're not following anybody into tech, you're going to have problems. Maybe knowing this information would be enough to help you out and maybe even to prevent this problem. Because again, this might not be something that you cause. It might be you hired an editor. The editor is editing your video, posting or sending stuff to you, and it hits that editor. They get all that editor's information and has open sessions or cookies or VPN access to your system, wherever he's sending those files, however he's getting those files, however he's editing those files, depending on whatever connection they have, depending on your network configurations, how you have your security set up. There are data storage center devices that I've seen videos of that I thought about getting that really can be kind of, I think, affected by this too. Because you have a main unit that shares out to these other units, and what happens if they get into there and delete everything, and then it domino effects. It was kind of like, whoa. The more I thought about it, the more it forced me to do this. And I have so many videos on my channel that would help to elaborate more on this subject. Not subject, on this event, because there's a lot of subjects that come in play. Your web browser, your caching, your cookies, your history. I haven't even touched on a lot of that yet, because that's in your deeper security, and I did not want to get into a lot of that and mention a lot of that, and I've mentioned in my security videos because of things like that. Because if you say something that can be helpful but can be mischief, someone can use it for mischief purposes. Well, obviously somebody found some of this older data, learned some of these old things that have been out there, and they exploited them, imploded them all over. Exploited it also. Again, This is why they have newer Windows versions. This is why Internet Explorer went away. Now they have Edge. That's why you update your browsers to help prevent a lot of this. It's not going to resolve all of this. A lot of this has to do with, again, best practices can cut down a lot of this. Having time between certain applications could prevent a lot of this. But time is money. Everybody wants things fast. Mentioned again in my videos, speed is pretty much the killer. Everybody wants it now. I want to send an email, I want to send a text, I want it there, I want everybody to have it, I want it open, and I want my response within 10 minutes. Well, this leads to this. I understand the importance of the speed. I understand the importance of a lot of this. But you got to understand there's an importance why you don't want that kind of speed. Why you want to say, whoop, hold on. Slow it down. And make sure the safety is there. Make sure the security is there. Make sure you have the proper applications and software there. Make sure you have that buffer. Because if you don't, you're going to end up with issues like this. Now, this is just the start. Now, don't want to relay all the other issues that have been going on with ransomware on big institutions and schools and all of these other things. You're looking at the same thing. Most of this was email somebody opened that caused this issue. Somebody found a vulnerability in because a vendor or somebody had access into the network. How did they get that information? Most likely the same way they got this other information. It's just now it has a new face. It's now they're doing something different with it. So it really forced me to do this. And I don't want to point the finger and I don't want to blame anybody. And again, training your users, training them to understand, hey, you're opening some classified information. You are opening up some personal information. Maybe that user should not have access to my archive. Maybe that user should not have access to those websites. Maybe the guy that does contracts and all of that type of stuff should not have the corporate banking online information. Number one, he's the one doing contracts and doing other things with vendors and other things. You have an accounting person. You have an accounts billable person. Those are the people that need to have that information. They should not really be on the same workstation either. Leads me back to making sure they have a user account and an admin account. The rights are different for the workstation itself. Making sure you have strong security. I got videos on that. There are a lot of little things you can do to try to prevent a lot of this. But again, it's the best practice of making sure you try to keep all of that separate. And today's day, no, nobody's doing that. Nobody's doing that. So, is this going to change the tech? Is this going to change the security again? Of people going, whoa, wait a minute. I understand you want this and I understand you want that, but hey, sorry, we really need to step back because now you're in a danger zone. And I know a lot of people aren't really going to go to their bosses and the CEOs and the head honchos and the owners and say, you know what, you made a mistake here, and I think we need to step this back and go back to the way it was because of this and this and this. And I understand the importance of the speed. I understand the importance of not having 1,000 sheets of paper printed a day. I understand that there's cost, the printers, and all this other stuff. But there is a reason why you would want a printed sheet. There are reasons why you would want a lot of things. So, to me, there's a lot of reasons why you would want to do a lot of different things. Knowing all of these reasons, knowing how everything is, making sure everything's secure, making sure everything's safe, and slowing down. I think that's basically all that I have to cover. Understanding if you're a host of something, maybe these are steps and securities that you may need to implement yourself. Don't leave it up to the user. If I had a service and I went out there and said, hey, I'm looking after you guys. I added all these features. Come on over. Well, why would you buy a virus scan? All these features, all these things that it does. Oh, it'll stop malicious emails. It'll stop malware. It'll stop Trojans. It'll stop regular viruses. It'll stop people from taking over your computer. It'll stop denial of service attacks. It'll stop, all these other little things that firewalls do that are usually integrated with a virus scan. Why would you integrate a firewall with a virus scan? You have now two products you're selling as one product because it's a packaged service. And this is really one of those issues I've had with a lot of these things that, yeah, you want web hosting? Yeah, there you go. Go ahead. Here's your login. Where's the security features? Where's all of this other stuff? How do I know it doesn't get accidentally deleted? Oh, you just have a backup of it in case you lose it, you can re-update it. Nowadays, there's certain hosting sites and all of that stuff that have a lot of these features. I've seen them. I've shopped around. When I was looking at doing this channel, I was looking at doing web hosting instead. Actually hosting videos. And there are features out there that actually do what I'm telling you. Oh, you want to delete this? Okay, it'll be 7 days before it's deleted. We'll send you an email 5 days before or after 5 days, 2 days before it's actually deleted. We will send you an email confirmation that that's happening. When you hit the deleted button, it sends you an email saying, hey, this video is going to be deleted. Are you sure? You have 7 days. I'm not understanding how a lot of these features are there, but they're not implemented across the board. I understand if you have a lot of users and you have a lot of things, it's a lot of bandwidth and it's a lot of things that go on. But these are features for your user to make sure your user is safe and secure. Not to mention, some of these services, they make money off of you by having ads. Everybody knows this. This isn't a secret. The more popular I get, the more people I get, they can run ads on my channel where I can make a little money. And guess what? They're going to make money. I'm not the only one making money off of that ad. I can guarantee that. The more hits, the more traffic, the more flow to their website causes those ad prices to go up in general. Not just because of me or because of another channel. It's because all the channels together combined also drives up the value. Everybody in the business knows that. That's not a secret. But again, that is something a lot of people really don't talk about. you go into monetizations and all of this stuff about YouTube and who makes money and how they make the money, and they sell shirts and they sell bottles and they sell all their little trinkets and they sell all this stuff to make additional money, that's a whole nother side. But again, having that quality of service. I've talked about routers and stuff. You can buy routers that have firewalls in them. Why would you want a router that has a firewall in them instead of having a firewall and a router? That's because of the product, what it does, how it works, a lot of features, a lot of unknown features. Standalone routers usually have more features in them, but you used to be able to get business grade ones that had the routers and firewalls in there, and they were pretty much what you needed. You need to provide those services. The banking has taken care of a lot of things. They time your session. Now, is that always good for what we need? Probably not. That's going to be a nightmare. But should it time your session when you go into editing your settings? Editing who owns your website, your address. You don't want someone just going in there for a long time, looking at it, figuring out, oh, hey, this guy works in Ontario or works in, New York or Canada, or he owns this and he owns. You don't want them in the. Maybe there's features you can add. Of course, there's a cost to do that. And that would solve a lot of these type of things. But again, it's not pointing the finger at that service didn't have this feature and it did not ask me if my password, if I wanted to change my username. I look at it completely different. Why did you want to change your username and it just allowed you to do it and then move on? So there's extra features and extra stuff there that, yeah, they already breached your account. Yeah, they got your session. They got your cookies. They probably have your saved password. They probably don't have your two-factor authorization, but they can probably get around it. So if it asked you for a password, they probably have the password. So that's probably why the designer did not put it in there. But if you would have propped them, boom, hey, guess what? It takes 7 days before this takes effect. And sends out an email to everybody in that list of whoever you have, editors, sponsors, whatever category you have that can access that channel or site or whatever. Boom, sends out an email. Hey, by the way, this channel, they're going to change the name within 7 days. All that would stop. Key core passwords for databases and other crucial information. Should that password be able to be changed right then and there? Maybe it can prompt you, say, hey, within 7 days, if this is an emergency or a certain other kind of circumstance, give us a call, contact us at this number, go through a secondary verification, go through something, and make sure the owner and whatever emails and whoever else needs to be notified is notified of this coming in. Because it could be just as simple as, hey, like email. Somebody puts in an email and say, oh, I forgot my password. I need to change my password. They put in an email, they typo it, and they send me a new password request. It comes to your email. Oh, hey, you asked for a new password. No, I didn't. There's a reason why that service is there. Then you can actually wonder, okay, now, is somebody trying to access my email? Did somebody typo? What is best practice in that situation? Change password. Make sure someone doesn't have that access. Someone is not trying to get into that. Make sure you change your password. These are some of those procedures that I've seen that just aren't there. And to me, that is kind of critical information. That is kind of a lot of hours, a lot of work, and a lot of labor, and a lot of cost to restore, to fix. And knowing the best practices, knowing the training, making sure people are trained, making sure people have the knowledge, making sure people have the understanding. Because again, being trained on this for a business and all of this stuff is not only the advantage of the business. Let's say you're a small business and your accountant has this problem at home. And she's calling an IT guy. He's calling an IT guy. They're calling IT guys to get in to fix their computer. You have nobody in accounting. You have nobody to do payroll. You have nobody to do anything because your employee's out because of this kind of a situation. So here it can affect you and affect your whole business by not even being in your business. It could be a home scenario situation that pulls that person out. So I wanted to go through and really kind of break this down and separate it to make sure that people understand that it's not necessarily a business only scenario. This can affect home users. This can affect charities, anything. Government organizations, anything. This all goes back to phishing, what people are trying to collect, the data they're trying to collect, and then somebody implementing it and using it. These are things I've mentioned in other videos. Now, this is the cause of somebody phishing, somebody collecting that data, and some bad actor using it. This is one of those causes. So I know I've gone on for almost an hour. Let me wrap this up. Again, thank you for watching Yates Computers Tips and Reviews. Again, I'm not here bashing. I'm not here trying to point too many fingers. I am pointing fingers, and it's cannot possibly be one thing. This has been a known issue for a long time, and I don't hear a lot of people telling you, this has been an issue for a long time. This has been an issue for a long time. Ever since browsers and internet and cookies and logins have been around. They've tried to work on it. They've tried to do some things. Two-factor authorizations. They've tried to do some other security things. They've done a lot in the time, but then there's some things they just did not deploy what I think they really should have. Maybe they don't have the resources to deploy them. And again, for future people coming in for the industry, these are things to think about. Maybe you have $1 billion idea. You have this perfect website design. You have this perfect thing. I've mentioned on before the internet. You have the dark web. You have all this other different web stuff out there. And it's always www. I imagine maybe in the future it's not www. Maybe it's TTT or it's something else, and it takes you to a whole new world of web. Maybe someone has that creative idea that comes to them, and they forget some of these little factors. Maybe someone will actually implement this in everything. Every email that goes through this new web gets screened and scanned. Every link, everything gets screened and scanned. Any of these hidden fonts and texts and anything gets eliminated, gets blocked. Anything fishy, suspicious, gets blocked, kicked out. All these things could go away. Possibility of it ever happening? No, because there's too many millions of dollars in it for people to get around it, to scam and scheme and do all these other things. So, again, thank you again for watching, listening to what I got to say. Hopefully people have stayed and watched all through. If you've not watched all the way through and you've got to watch it in bits and pieces, watch it in bits and pieces. But again, I'm going to have those links. Please go watch all those videos. These are very important. I've gone on for an hour over this. This is the importance. And this is why, if you don't know these things and you don't follow these practices, these things can come up. And again, it's not only that one service. This is a known issue with internet. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be pissed, a lot of comments and a lot of things about this on this video. But again, this is me educating and informing and training you guys. Letting you know what the cause and effect is. And to point you to the research and where to look so that maybe you can prevent all this in the future. Maybe you can stop this from happening to you. Or if it does, to know to where to go look, to go, oh, geez, I got to go look here to figure out how to stop this. Alrighty, thank you all so much. I've rambled on and rambled on, I know. And I want to thank you all. I will have a little note with some clarified information, hopefully, and all the links to all the different subjects, all the different things. And you'll see how big of a subject this really is and how deep this rabbit hole goes. Thank you so much.